And in fact, the Lord will resist the proud. He will resist the proud. He'll work to bring the proud down so that people can see that they're not as great as they think they are. They're not as strong or wise or wealthy or accomplished as they imagine. That they're not the center of the world. Now, why would he do that? Isn't that mean? Isn't that against everything we're striving for, to have self-esteem? To make somebody aware that they can't do it? That they're not as great as they think they are? Why would God do that? Well, in reality, pride gets in the way of people seeing they need God. Pride gets in the way of people seeing they need forgiveness. Pride gets in the way of people seeing they need His leading and His help and His salvation. So pride, puts people in a place where they say, well, I've got it. I've got it under control. I can do it. I can accomplish it. I'm all right. And when people have that attitude, it keeps them from experiencing what God could do. So God will work against pride for the eternal good of the proud to help them see they need God. And Nebuchadnezzar learned this lesson in Daniel chapter 4. So you thought you were getting a study in the book of Jeremiah. You're actually getting, so far, Daniel chapter 2, 3, and now Daniel chapter 4, as Daniel learned this lesson. Because in Daniel chapter 4, Daniel had another dream, a vision. And in that dream, he saw a great tree. And that great tree was a fruitful tree that in his dream fed everyone. It was just a huge tree that fed everyone. And then suddenly that tree was cut down. And Daniel had the job of interpreting that dream, and he explained to the king that he was the tree. King, you're the tree. But king, you're going to be cut down so that everyone can see that your kingdom was given to you by God. It wasn't earned, it wasn't deserved, it wasn't something that you accomplished, but it was given to you by God. And for a while, Nebuchadnezzar, when he received that interpretation, did the right thing. But then Scripture says that one day he was walking around his palace. He was just walking around, just looking at everything. And he began to say, is this not great Babylon that I have built? Isn't this just wonderful? For my royal dwelling in my city and my power and the honor of my majesty. Daniel chapter 4, verse 30. And Scripture says that while he was still speaking, the kingdom was taken from him. And Nebuchadnezzar became like an animal. And he just lost it. He became beastly. His mind went from him. He became like an animal, and he stayed that way for 7 seasons until he humbled himself and he realized that God is the one in charge, and God gives the kingdom to whomever He wishes. You see, Nebuchadnezzar needed to be humbled to see his need for God and to surrender his sovereignty to the Lord. The experience was difficult for Nebuchadnezzar, no doubt, but it was needful and it was important because God loved him and wanted what was best for him, and his pride was in the way.